What is up, guys, and welcome to the Meeple Minded Podcast, the podcast where we talk all things tabletop gaming. My name is Jason.
And I'm James.
How are you doing this week, James?
I'm good, Jason.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. I'm very glad to hear it. It's Essen week.
It is Essen
We're recording
week.
this on the week of Essen, but it'll come out after Essen's already finished.
Yes.
And we're not going, James.
We're not. We were.
We've
talked about it.
We talked about it many, many times. And yes, life, money, work, all of those things just got in the way. But we got a couple of friends that are going.
Indeed.
Which is good. I'm very happy for them. Well, I mean, yeah, I say happy. you know who you are, people. Okay. This is the hardest thing, man, because I want to call them something, but nothing of family-friendly nature is coming to me.
Those lucky devils.
Yes. Check the sarcasm in the voice.
Yes.
But we're going to go next year, surely.
We are.
I know we've said that for the past, 2 years now?
We are going to go next year.
100%, because we were talking about it last night. We know when the dates are. We're going to look at hotels very, very soon. And, I've now booked it off at work.
Yes.
So, sorted for next year. We're going to be there. May not be there for the duration, but we will go for at least some of it.
Yeah.
But depressing news aside, James, how has your week been?
My week's been okay. My next week's going to be fantastic because I did book it off in just in case we went. So I now have a week off of work.
Nice. You got anything planned for your week off, James?
No, because the reason I booked it off is now not happening.
Well, I mean, you don't need me. You could go.
I could, but same reasons. I mean, on the balance, it's sort of it's probably something I can't afford right now. So.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the good thing is it's freed me up to get my hotel booked for Games Expo a bit sooner than originally planned. So that will hopefully be booked probably within the next month, I'd say, for me. Just need to coordinate with the missus and make sure we're all good for that. But yeah, it's now very upsetting and daunting that there's no expos for me for the rest of this year. Very upsetting indeed. But we have been playing some games though this week, Jim.
We have been playing.
We had a little bit more time. And we got 2 games in this week. Still not great, but we got some in, which was good. Do you remember the games we played?
We played Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid.
We did. I was so happy to get that to the table again. Honestly, last week we played Dynagenics.
Yep.
Then we played Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid this week. This past couple of weeks has been heaven for me. 2 of my favourite games. James, how did we do in Heroes of the Grid this time?
We won.
Did we? We did. We did. We were going to lose until I saved the day. I remember that now. Yeah. Tommy to the rescue. Rest in peace, Mr. Tommy. That came to the rescue. That was a hard game.
That was a hard game.
Who was it? It was Rito Revolto. We went.
Yeah,
against,
Rito Revolto, Commander Crayfish.
That's it. Commander Crayfish and Palutacorn. Palutacorn. That's it. I'm the Power Rangers fan here, aren't I? What a game that was. It was super putties and normal putties for this one. We didn't go for the super powerful foot soldiers. But we got a bit of a spanking in that game because there was only 3 of us playing in that. We were joined by Simon.
Indeed we were.
I believe it was his first play.
It was his first play.
Yeah. Did he seem to enjoy it?
I think he enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'll have to speak to him when he gets back from Essen. No hard feelings at all, really. But yeah, Power Rangers, James, we haven't played it for a very long time. Did you still enjoy it?
I did, very much.
Yeah, I think this was probably one of the most interesting games of it we've played because it was very difficult. But I feel like we've been against harder villains.
Yeah, but with a full...
Yeah. There was more of us with more variety and special abilities in there. But we managed to go the whole evening listening to the Power Rangers soundtrack.
Indeed.
So it was a good night all round, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. Do you remember the other game we played? I hope so, because it was only last night.
Heat.
We did. You had to think a bit there.
I did have to think. I was like, oh, what's he talking about? What are we doing? What day is it? Heat.
Yeah, exactly. We managed to get Heat Pedal to the Metal to the table again. And this was another game that I've been wanting to play again quite a bit recently. 4 players last night, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
and it came down to the wire once again.
Yep.
I once again spent the entire game on fire. I believe we only had one spin out.
Yep. Who was that, Jason?
Oh, no, there must have been two. I spun out as well. Yes, I did. On a 2-corner again. I just can't do the 2s. I mean, I deserve that one because I blitzed through that corner way too quickly.
Yeah, you did. That's what happens when you play the gamble card.
Yeah, it didn't go very well. How did you get on in that game?
I came second.
That's not too bad.
I crossed the line first, but Dave...
Yes, he played that last boost, didn't he? And it just pipped you at the post. And
Yep.
To be fair, good, because you pipped me by 1 space.
Yep. Which
Which was most disheartening to me. But yeah, is it a game that you still enjoy? Because again, it's another game we haven't played for a while.
Yeah. I do still enjoy it. I think we've played it enough now that I've mentioned it when we played it. I prefer playing with the upgrades module than the base game, because we played with the base game because
Few new players.
John was new.
Yeah.
Dave's played it before. But yeah, I prefer doing the upgrade because I like the fact that the cars are different when you do that. You're not all playing with the same deck.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're both agreed that our favourite module really is the mechanics upgrade, isn't it? Or whatever they call it. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, you where you're drafting, I think it's 3 cards before you actually start the game. I do like that. It is good fun. But it had been a while since we played it, and I think even if we hadn't have had new people, it was nice for me to refresh my memory on it. Yeah. Because obviously I was trying to run the game as I'm not 100% I remember the rules exactly, but it came back really quickly, which was great, which kind of a testament to that game that it's been months since we played it. Yet as soon as I got that sort of cockpit in front of me, it's like, oh yeah, that does that, that does that, that does that, that does that, and that does that. The gold ones are the ones we do at the same time. And just instantly, like a light bulb, I was like, yep, I remember it all. At which point I was like, I really wish we were playing with the upgrade pack. But yes, is it going to be something we're going to play again soon, James, do you reckon?
I think so, because I think both of us are itching to play with that upgrade module again. So
yeah, I'd like to do maybe an evening of heat and maybe do a small championship or something like that. I reckon a few people might be up for that.
Yep.
So that could be something we could do very soon, James.
Indeed.
Thoughts and cogs are a whirring.
Yes.
Apologies, I'll edit that noise out. Could do with some WD-40 or some oil in there or something. But yes, they're the 2 main games we played this week. I've played a few online. I've been hitting up Board Game Arena again. It was nice to see that Heat is now on there. Mm-hmm. So I can see me playing a lot more of that on there. I played some Challengers on there because that's also on there now. So yeah, I think I might be back on Board Game Arena a bit more often. Try and get my plays up a bit. But there is a game that we played this time last year, James.
Oh, what was it? And
I believe this is another game that is also on Board Game Arena, and I have played a few times. Because this time last year, James, we talked about Acropolis.
Oh.
So, a year on, James, tell me your thoughts on Acropolis.
I still really enjoy that game.
Yeah? Was there anything that sticks out to you that you really like? Because we had a little discussion a while ago, didn't we? It's like Rome in a Day or Acropolis, because they're similar concepts.
Similar concepts. I would say Rome in a Day is simpler.
Okay, yeah. I can sort of understand that.
But Acropolis is the more thinky one, I think.
Yeah. There's a lot more room for mistake.
Yes.
In Rome in a Day. I would grant you on that. But I think there's more rules to grasp in Rome in a Day. That would be my...
Depends whether you're playing Acropolis in the easy mode or the more difficult mode.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the air quotes, difficult or advanced mode of Acropolis is all that hard to grasp. It's just an extra bonus for each.
It is, but it's maximising that thing. It's because it gives you that, because you're not blind drawing in that, you're doing it. There's a lot more, where do I want to put this tile, or I've got this tile and it's really not the one that I want.
Yeah. I'd say definitely the awkward shapes of the tiles in Acropolis does make it harder.
Being able to go up, I like that.
Yes. That's very, very true. That's probably one of my favourite things about Acropolis, if I'm honest. So, yeah. Acropolis or Rome in a Day for you, though, James?
I think Acropolis.
Just? Is it a close one? Or
depends how fried my brain is.
Oh, okay.
I don't find Rome in a Day as thinky as Acropolis.
No. So I find it a bit more thinky, but only because I'm constantly trying to think like my opponent that I'm, one, stealing stuff from, and in a 2-player game, he's stealing from me from.
Yep.
Because it's just sort of like, well, hang on a minute. I want those tiles, so I should claim those ones. However, he's going to know that, so he'll actually do that, which will screw me over. But I know that he knows that, so therefore I'll do this, because then he'll do this, and
I see. Yeah. I don't find that I get drawn into that. It's like I start and then I just go, no, we're doing this.
That's why you keep beating me.
Yeah.
So, you see, I'm surprised. That's why you don't like Rome in a Day more, because it's a game that you can absolutely demolish me at. Because, yeah, you know damn well that my mind goes, no, I'm going to screw James, but then he's going to try and screw me, so I'm going to screw him, but I'm going to screw him before he screws me.
No, see, I've never been about the victory, mainly because it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, well...
So, yeah, it comes down to the actual enjoyment of the game. I think I get more out of Acropolis.
That's fair. That is fair. I think deep down, if I had to pick a game, I would probably choose Acropolis over Rome in a Day. However, as you said, there's certain times that I look at Rome in a Day and go, do you know what? I just fancy it. I fancy it. And I don't so much get that with Acropolis. Acropolis is just one of those that if someone asks for it, hell yeah, I'll play it. If I put it in my bag for whatever reason, it will see the table. Whereas, yeah, Rome in a Day is kind of a case of, yeah, I have to be in the mood to put it in my bag or bring it out on the table or whatever. Or it has to be asked for. But yeah, so a year on, James. Acropolis, yay, nay?
Yay.
Yay. I'm going for a yay as well. Still in the collection. We've been looking at it almost this entire time. Yeah, it looks like a good game. We know it's a good game.
It is a good game.
It says 25 minutes on the box. That's totally wrong. It's far shorter than that once you know what you're doing. James, are you ready to talk about the main event for this time?
I am indeed.
The question is, James, we currently have some rather nice orange and mango juice.
We do.
But I don't feel that it's really worthy of the game that we're talking about today, is it?
We should be sitting here with a nice single malt.
Yes, we should. We may have to break that out. Shame you've got to drive home and can't actually have any.
Yeah.
But yes, are you ready to talk about the main event, Jack?
I am.
Let us do it. Okie dokie, guys. So this week we are talking about Distilled. I've been looking forward to talking about this one for a fair while, James.
Yep.
Are you excited?
I am.
Excellent, because I am too. So what is Distilled? Well, Distilled is a thematic strategy game released by, I think it's pronounced Paverson Games, in 2023. The game is designed to be played by 1 to 5 players aged 14 and up, with an estimated playtime of around 30 minutes per player. And at the time of the recording, this game can be picked up at retail for around the £63 mark. In Distilled, each player has inherited a family-run distillery, and it's now your job to steer the business into the record books as you attempt to create a name for yourself amongst the brewing big dogs. Will you pump out common as muck moonshine, or spend time aging that secret special recipe you found amongst the inheritance papers on your journey to become a master distiller? James, that is a rather over and extravagant way of explaining what the purpose of this game is. What comes in the box when you spend £63 on this box?
Okay, Jason. Inside the box, you will find 5 distillery boards, 18 distiller identity cards, 18 signature recipe label tokens, 18 signature ingredient cards, 20 distillery gold cards, 88 basic market ingredient and item cards, 36 premium market ingredient cards, 33 premium market item cards, 30 distillery upgrade cards, 10 starting item cards, 60 alcohol cards, 40 flavor cards, 23 spirit award tokens, 5 player reference cards, solo game components, 5 dual-layered recipe clipboards and 20 double-sided recipe tasting flights, 59 money tokens, 1 truck board and 1 basic market board, 1 first player token and 1 round marker barrel, 1 shelf board, 5 double-sided score modifier tokens, 85 spirit label tokens, 37 wooden cubes, and 5 player scoring tokens.
Okie dokie. So, I mean, that's probably the biggest contents list you've done in a fair while.
It is. I had to take a couple of breaths reading that out.
I actually got to turn my mic down. I had a few drinks. I had a little kip. It's great. It's great. So there's a lot of stuff.
There is a lot of things
in this box, isn't there?
Yes.
So, I mean, do you reckon, off the bat, before we even start talking about it, do you reckon the cost is, you know, in relation to the sheer amount that's in this box?
Yeah, I think the cost is about right.
Yeah. Well, let's not dive into that one just yet, because the first thing we need to talk about, James, is that lovely book that you have right in front of you. We need to talk about the rule book.
The rule book.
Now, first of all, this is a rule book that is the same size as the box, which is something I'm not normally a fan of because they're usually quite flimsy and they flop all over the place when you're trying to read them. But this one seems to have a bit more rigidity to it, so I'm assuming they've used a thicker paper stock in it.
Yeah, well, it feels that way as well. I thought that when I was flicking through it.
Yeah, I mean, when I was flicking through it earlier, I sort of initially I thought it was that linen finish that you got on the Wingspan book, but it's not.
It's almost like thin playing card material because it's got a texture to it.
Yeah, very, very thin texture. So it might still have that linen finish on it, so it's entirely possible. But very nice quality rulebook. Incredibly well illustrated. Now, I would actually say that I think that this is one of, if not the most beautifully laid out rulebooks I've seen so far. Everything is incredibly well illustrated to the point that you've got, like, for the most part, the start of the book where it's starting to teach you the game, you've got the lower third of each page is giving you the text versions of what it's trying to achieve, but then it gives you 2/3 of the book, 2/3 of the page for illustrations to show you what's doing. So that's incredibly well done. Of course, the artwork from the game is throughout this rulebook as well. Yeah, I'm incredibly happy with this. I think there's a couple of things in there that could do with being a little bit better, or maybe worded just a tiny bit better, and maybe a few things that could do with better locations.
I also quite like as well that you've got a glossary of what all the spirits actually are.
Yeah, like real life spirits. So it's like an educational thing, right?
Yeah. So, and they're split into the regions they're from as well. But yeah, some of these drinks I haven't heard of.
Yeah.
So it's quite nice that you've got an identifier, so you know actually know what it is.
Yeah, like especially the Asian and Oceania ones. Like yes. I don't know any of those. I've not been to that part of the world.
Obviously, even some of the European ones I've not heard of.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of the names and just got like Aquavit and stuff like that. I was like, I've never heard of it, but it's supposedly one of the biggest spirits around. So yeah, there's a lot of education to be gained from that rulebook as well, which I think is pretty cool. But as I said, rules wise, it's really well laid out, helps with the setup quite well. The setup itself is a little bit finicky because there's so much stuff that needs sorting out to put out. You know, it's not just you're always putting all the spirit labels out, which we'll talk about later what they are, but you know, you have to pick your tasting flight or your recipe cards, and then you need to make sure you have those particular spirit labels out, and then you've got to have a certain amount of them depending on the amount of players you've got, and then if a player joins you, you've got to have more. If a player leaves, you've got to have less, and there's a hell of a lot of little bits that change in every single game, so the setup is a little bit finicky. Can take a little while, but if you know for certain you've got this amount of players coming, you can get it all set up in plenty of time. You can take your time doing it. It's quite a nice little setup. The board is beautiful. So, yeah, setup takes up a lot of space as well. That's the other thing I would say. It's a bit of a table hog, especially at the full 5-player count. But that's the setup and the rulebook, James. Let's talk about the components. Where the hell do we start on this one?
Probably with the extra ones that are in the copy we've been playing with.
Yes, I suppose we should really cover that, shouldn't we? So the copy that we've got here actually belongs to our good friend Anthony of the MTVB podcast. Thank you very much for lending it to us, Anthony. This has some of the Deluxify components in it, doesn't it?
It does.
So the copy we've been playing with has metal cubes, which are used for buying recipes.
Yep.
So they are genuinely silver, gold, and bronze.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the retail version comes with
wooden cubes
in those colorations. I've seen those cubes. They're absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with them. This one has metal coins in it, which again, retail version comes with punchboard coins. They're functional. They do what they need to do. And then finally, we have a nice neoprene mat, which is what we put out all of the premium upgrades on.
Yeah.
Like premium ingredients, distillery upgrades, and
Premium items.
Premium items, that's correct. So that keeps that all nice and tidy and gives it a little bit of niceties about it.
I would say that that's probably the only thing I'm not a fan of in board games in general, where something like that, which in a game like this is essential, isn't in the box in some shape or form. Not necessarily as a neoprene mat, that is a deluxe upgrade, but that should have been at least
a board
that's made out of the same material as the player boards, which are just card.
Yeah. See, I mean, you rather stole my thunder there, James, because I had written that down as well. And I'll say it now. It's the only real negative that I have with regards to the components in this game is the basic market, punchboard, punchboard layout, game board. The player boards, nice boards. Yet, arguably, the biggest centerpiece of the game doesn't have a board at all.
Yeah.
So you just have cards on a table.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that practice in games in general, where the cards, you just lay them out on the table and then they sell effectively the organizer board as an upgrade. It's like that should be there.
It's the one thing in this game that doesn't have a board, and I don't understand it, because even the discard area for that thing has a board. It's the truck, so it has a board.
Yeah.
I do wonder to myself, is that at some point did they plan to have a board and to keep the costs down? Maybe they decided to drop it, but do you know what? If they're going to drop something, drop the truck, the discard area, or, even the basic ingredients. Maybe make just a combined board with all the ingredients on, with a basic ingredients track and a premium. It makes no sense for that centerpiece to not have something.
To me, it's the principle of, if you've released it as an upgrade, it's needed.
Yeah, I would say that, yeah.
So there should be a basic organized. Like I said, you want to offer a neoprene mat instead of a board, that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
But the mere fact that the upgrade exists tells me it's needed.
Yeah, agreed. So, have you got any other negatives?
No, that's probably the only one from the components. Everything else in this is really nice.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we're only picking up on one negative within this game and its components. We'll say that. Now let's talk about positives, James, because is there positives in this box? Starting off with, I want to jump into it. Let's talk about the art style, because I like it.
Yeah, I like.
With what is arguably an air quotes adult theme, because you're talking about alcoholic beverages and and all that kind of stuff, and distilleries. It's not something that kids are really going to know or even understand. So they could have gone with a really dark and gloomy styling, couldn't they, really? Because let's be honest, distilleries, they're basically warehouses, and they could have gone with that. But with this, you've actually got quite a lot of vibrancy and colour. You even pointed out just before we went live that the distillery pictured on the box actually kind of looks like a wizard's hat.
It does.
It's just a type of still, isn't it, really?
Yeah, effectively, but yeah, it looks like a wizard's hat.
But yeah,
I remember thinking that, because you remember they had similar things when we went to Amsterdam and we went around the Heineken brewery.
Yeah.
That hall, they had very similar things, and I thought the same thing there. It's just the fact that this one tapers off at the top, so it actually looks like the crook of a wizard's hat.
Yeah. So yeah, like for you, James, what do you like about the art styling on this, or what do you dislike? You might not like it.
No, I think it maintains that, like, the imagery, what you'd expect of a distillery. It does look like a warehouse, but yeah, I like the art style. The style they've done the characters in is quite nice.
Yeah. Sort of like I don't even know the way to try and describe, but like a fantastical type, of cartoons, like not Disney type of fantastical, but a bit more not anime or manga or anything like that, but it's sort of a mixture between the two.
Yeah.
For me, it's very, very weird styling to try and
describe.
I've never really seen that kind of styling. But yeah, I kind of agree with you with what you say with the still kind of looks like a wizard's hat. And that's what made me really think, yeah, it's more of a fantastical, mythical place rather than a real, based on real life.
Yeah, but they do actually look like that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, I was just looking at it, just going, yeah, it looks like a wizard's hat.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the art for me is a win. Big tick on that one. We'll talk about the spirit labels. This is something I wanted to bring up, and this was a big pro for me because they could have gone with cubes, just standard cubes, gone Euro style game and gone cubes. Yep, I've made this drink, so I've got a cube over that one to get that benefit or whatever. But in this one, they've gone for a really nice thematic element of going, I've made this drink, so say whiskey. I've made whiskey in this one. And I've got a small spirit label to represent the fact that I have made a whiskey and I am putting it over this benefit to gain that benefit. But I've now got a whiskey label on my board rather than just a shed load of cubes.
Yep.
And it just adds to that theme for me.
Yep.
How did you find them?
I thought that was a nice addition because obviously you get the cubes later on for
the recipes, purchasing recipes. Yeah.
So I almost feel like that's thematic because the cube represents a pen tick because that's what it is. The side of your board looks like a clipboard.
Yeah, yeah.
And then your recipe sheet goes in the slot on the clipboard.
Yeah.
And then your cube goes next to it, almost like a tick. Like, I know how to make that.
Well, that's the thing because actually because everyone starts with the same drinks, don't they? You've got moonshine and vodka, which actually are ticks on a list. And then you slide in the recipe sheet for that game underneath it, and yeah, like you said, instead of drawing all over your lovely components, you then put cubes there to represent the ticks.
Yep, and they're coloured bronze, silver, and gold. That's differentiate basically how hard the recipe is. Bronze for easy, silver for
and
mid,
how much they pay for.
Yeah, silver for mid, and gold for top tier.
Yeah. So, like you said, I mean, it sort of works on the whole how hard they are to make, but not always, because some of them would just be, you only need a couple of sugars and nothing else that's special, but it pays ridiculously well in victory points.
Yes and no, because obviously you can get caught out, as I know you did in the very first game.
Yes.
With that is, once you go up the thing, they need extra stuff, like you need the specific barrel.
Yeah, it's got, this needs a wooden barrel, this needs a clay barrel, and yeah, this one needs a specific glass that it's sold in. Which, again, is something really nice with regards to the theme of the game, James. Because one thing that a lot of connoisseurs of the adult beverage variety will know is you can buy really nice blown glass, in shaped glass. I've seen things sold in skulls.
Yeah,
I've seen them sold in teddy bears, kittens or whatever. All these different shapes. And that's represented in the game as those premium items that we were talking about. So really, really cool on that theme. What do you think I'm going to mention next, James?
Don't know. What are you going to mention?
I'm going to mention the box insert.
The box insert.
The box insert.
The box insert.
It's amazing. It's one of the... Honestly, it's such a good box. Game trays, they've always been amazing at making their box inserts, but this one is a full game trays insert. It's amazing. It holds everything in place, makes the setup a lot easier, which... If it wasn't a game trays insert or it had no insert, what I was saying about the setup being finicky would be
a nightmare
and unbearable, and would actually probably put me off playing the game. But the game trays definitely makes that easier. I really like it. Thank you very much for including it. More games need to have inserts like this. Excellent. That is all I want to talk about.
Cool.
With regards to the components, James, is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think we've covered everything there.
Excellent stuff. So let's talk about the main event, James. Let's talk about the gameplay. Do you like the game?
I do like the game.
Do you?
I do.
Excellent. I'd not actually had an idea that you liked this game. We've played this so much recently.
We have.
Oh, to say that this isn't my game is quite bad, because I know that we've played this more than Anthony has managed to play it, and I'm so sorry that we've done that, but I love this game. We just kept getting asked to bring it, and we kept bringing it. It's only that this week that we decided, no, we need to take a little bit of a break from it, because otherwise we're going to burn out in the game. But James, what do you like about Distilled's gameplay?
Everything.
Excellent. That sums it up. Thank you very much for joining us. We have been. So I'm just going to jump straight in and say, I'm going to be straight up and say I have really, really struggled to find anything bad about the game. So expect this to be a rather rave, review of our plays of the game. But there's so much good stuff that I'm not going to be able to stick it all in the list.
Yeah,
to talk about. So I've tried to minimize it as much as possible. I'm sure, James, if you think of something, you'll be able to chuck it in when we're talking about it. But I've broken it down by phases, basically, and I'll try and say what I like about each phase. So the first thing in the game, James, is the market phase.
The market phase of buying stuff.
Buying stuff, yeah. So,
before we get to that, we probably should explain as well that you've got your unique character. Mm-hmm. That you are playing with, as well as your distillery board. So your unique character will come with a special recipe that you have to unlock, as that's in addition to your list.
Yes. Yep.
So it would be dependent on the region, and it will not always, but usually be either your best scoring item or your second best scoring item.
Yeah.
Depending on the recipe list you're doing, but it's always worth making, and it is unique to you.
Yeah, exactly. No one else can do it.
No one else can make that, because those labels that Jason was talking about, they are limited.
Yes. I think it's amount of players +1, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So you'll always get paid for it, and you'll get your victory points for it, but you won't necessarily get the bonus once you've run out of labels.
Yeah.
Like, I think vodka and moonshine have the most, because
it's the equivalent of 2 per.
Yeah, but once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah. Yes.
So with that being said, the first round is the market phase.
Indeed. Yes. So this is obviously the phase where arguably everything happens, because this is where you're going to be buying your ingredients to create the alcohol that you want to make in the next step. So it's fairly self-explanatory. This phase, you have a set amount of money. Ingredients have a certain cost. You can also buy upgrades for your distillery here as well as those premium barrels and bottles that we were talking about earlier.
And premium ingredients.
So to break things down slightly, you have 2 separate markets that you can buy from. You've got the premium section and then the standard section. Now, unless you are a certain character in the game, you can only buy 2 things from the standard market.
There is one character whose special ability is to be able to buy 3 things.
Yes. Yeah. And that's quite a powerful ability.
It is a very powerful ability. I've played that character.
Yes. Very, very powerful. Because the stuff in the standard market tends to be either free or very, very cheap.
Yeah.
Now, what you will need in the next phase, at minimum, is 1 water, 1 yeast, and a single sugar of some sort. There's multiple different types of sugar. So you need to make sure you have those before the end of the buying phase. So, James, what do you like about the market phase? Because ultimately, it's just a market phase, right?
Yep. I like the fact that it's balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Because
in what way?
Because you can only buy 2 items from the basic, but you can buy as many from the advanced as you want. As you've already said, the stuff in the basic market is usually either free or
dirt cheap.
Basically, I think the most expensive thing in there is 4, and that's the barrels.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it's about 4.
Yep.
I think
some of the sugars are.
They go. I think they're 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I think so.
If I remember correctly, the basic sugars, but it's balanced because those basic sugars you need them for your distilling phase, but the more advanced ones, which are more expensive, will get you more stuff.
Yes.
In terms of money and victory points.
Yes, exactly.
So I think the only thing in the basic market that gets you money is water. So when you're selling your drink, the ingredients, some of the ingredients will have a monetary value attached to them. Yes. That's basically how a lot of the ways you'll earn your money.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff in the basic market doesn't have that. On it.
It's basically there as a core ingredient, isn't it?
Yeah. Whereas the ones in the more advanced market will either have special abilities or they'll have extra monetary value on them.
Or extra victory points. Yeah. So, yeah, your premium stuff is where you really want to be, but you might not want to be using the premium stuff when you're trying to make something easy like moonshine.
Yeah.
because that's not going to get you that much points, not going to get you that much money. So you don't want to use your premium ingredients on that. So yeah, the standard and the premium market's pretty cool. What I like about the market phase, James, is this is the one and only part of this game, in my opinion, where player interaction comes in. For the rest of the game, you don't really have that much player interaction. However, in the market phase, because you only get one chance to buy something before it moves to the next person, and eventually it will come back to you, and you just keep going until everyone passes. Because you can only get that one thing, it's like there could be a premium ingredient on there that I need. It's like, okay, we'll say I need that wheat sugar. I really need that wheat sugar, but I also want this ingredient. The problem is, if I buy this ingredient and James buys the wheat sugar and and another one doesn't come out, I'm up the creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
So I need to make a strategic decision. Do I buy it now and hope that the other one is still here? And stuff like that.
Yeah. I like that because there is an element of player interaction, I would say, but not do-over. Because I can't stop you from making that drink.
Yeah.
If I take that premium ingredient, I can hobble you.
Yeah.
Because you won't get as much for it. But the stack of ingredients in the basic market, and they are just more advanced versions of the same three.
Pretty much, yeah.
Three things. It's fruit sugar, vegetable sugar, or wheat sugar, basically.
Yeah.
So there's always a supply. I can't physically stop you from making the drink. It just won't be as powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And there's been a couple of times like where maybe I've been building to brewing a whiskey. Little Jimmy has also been brewing to build a whiskey. And both of those require a wooden barrel in order to distill them. There's only currently one wooden barrel of decency on the board. So we're both gunning for that one. But, I have to make that decision whether I buy it now. Do I risk it for the chocolate biscuit? Who knows? That's what I like about the market phase. It's fairly self-explanatory. It's just standard buying phase, but there is just an element, a little dash of player interaction, and that's what I like about the market phase.
Yeah, I do like it. I also like the fact that because you effectively have a storehouse, not so much in the opening rounds of the game, but once your money's coming in, you can store stuff in that storehouse.
Yeah,
so
you don't have to use it that round.
Yeah, it just sits there until you need it. So it is. You might not be able to do it that round, but it's okay. I'm setting myself up for the next round.
Yeah, I've already got the ingredients I need for this round, and I've got some spare money, so I might as well
buy something.
Stuff. Yeah,
and you can also, because of that, you could wrong foot your opponents because you might be buying ingredients and they think, oh, you're going to make this drink.
Yeah,
your storehouse is piled up.
Yeah,
so unless someone's got a very good memory and knows what's in there, like, oh, he's going to make whiskey. He's just bought.
Yep.
Bunch of two wheat sugars and a wooden barrel. He's going to make whiskey, and it's like, oh no, I've got ingredients to make gin here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I like I said, I don't think there's any way to really stop someone.
No.
From making whatever. You might hinder them a little bit, like you said, but the player interaction is just enough, just a sprinkling that it makes the market phase just that little bit different for me.
I found the thing that we fought over most, actually, the distillery upgrades.
Yeah.
Because there are some horrifically powerful ones in there.
Yeah, my favourite ones to go for are always the ones that at the start of the market phase gain a sugar of a type.
Yeah.
Especially if you are building your recipe list that you're always using that type of sugar. Getting that free sugar is a godsend.
Remember that it will only be a basic ingredient, but it takes some of the pressure off that I can only buy two things from the thing. So there are quite a few distillery upgrades. You can only ever have three of them because there's only space for three on the board.
Yep.
But yeah, it's very powerful. Like I said, there's one for each type of sugar. I think it's like they're basically growing. So an orchard for fruit sugar.
A
wheat field for wheat.
Yeah.
A greenhouse, I think, gets you vegetables.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the one that I ran away with, the game we ran away with, I had that character that allowed you to buy 3 items from the basic market, and I managed to get the greenhouse.
Yeah, dirty.
Which is a vegetable sugar, and her signature ingredient was based on vegetable sugar.
Yeah.
And a lot of the drinks on there were vegetable sugar based. Yeah. It was, this is just a dream setup, this one.
You had the perfect setup for that one.
The drone, that's usually fought over. The odd card
There's some in there that are very, very overpowered, but they're made up for by their cost.
It's what that's. I mean, I probably should have thought about this in the component section, I suppose. Like, that's the one card I sort of felt out of place because this feels very, I don't know, Prohibition era from the art style.
Yeah. And,
so sort of 1920s from the dress style and the sort of the artwork, sort of 1920s Prohibition era.
Yeah.
And there's a drone.
Yeah.
Just that drone card quickly. It allows you to copy any upgrade card that's currently sat on the market. It's silly powerful.
Yeah. Especially if you get it early.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Well, there you go. That is the market phase for me. So we move on to the next phase, which is going to be your sort of, what is it, the wash?
It's called the distill phase.
The distill phase, yes. The distill phase where you place the ingredients you want to use in your wash back. And at this point, this is where the game really starts because this is where you're going to start making your alcohol. The bare minimum is that you have to put 1 yeast, 1 water, and 1 sugar of any type into your wash back. By placing 1 sugar in there, you also add 1 alcohol. Place 2 sugars, 2 alcohol. So on and so forth. The more sugar you put in, the more alcohol you put in.
Alcohol is what gets you your money.
Alcohol is what gets you your money. Once you've done that and everyone's done that, you gather up the cards from the wash back, shuffle them up, and then you top and tail the deck. So you remove the top card and you remove the bottom card. They go back into your pantry. And then what you're left with in your hand is what you can use to make a drink off of your recipe that you've unlocked. So that's a really cool way of doing it. Because again, very thematic. Because when you make alcohol, you actually do skim off the top and the bottom of each of the barrels. So what do you think, James?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah? Has it caught you out a couple of times, though?
Yeah, it has.
Because you sort of go, I'm going to put the bare minimum in here. And then, of course, you pull out your sugar and be like, now I've got no sugar. Therefore, all I've done is made moonshine.
Yep.
But the good thing is here, you sort of think to yourself, but what happens if I take the key ingredients out? Does that mean I make nothing?
No, it is impossible to make nothing.
Correct. This is why you have to put 1 of every ingredient in, because when you put the alcohol in, it means you've got 4 cards. Even if you take out a sugar and an alcohol, you still make moonshine. If you've got any sugar in it, you will always make vodka. They're the basic 2. You will always make at least 1 of those.
Yep.
It's only when you start having lots of sugar in that you start looking at the different things that you can make.
Yeah.
I really like how it works. I think it's very thematic. There's not really a great deal to talk about in the distill phase, is there? Because it is literally put the cards you want from your pantry into the drink, shuffle it up, take 2 cards out. That's what you've got to make.
Yeah. On a note of putting your sugar in as well, when you start making the more advanced drinks, more is also better because you're less likely to
remove them.
Fail at making the drink you want and basically making vodka.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. So that's the distilling phase. Very, very simple. Quite simple, straightforward. Takes a few minutes to do. Doesn't take a long time. You then move on to the selling phase. Now, there's a very specific reason that they do it in this particular order. At the selling phase, it's now your chance to decide whether you want to sell the drink that you've just made, or you can opt not to sell it and then put it into aging, but that only works with certain drinks, James.
Yes. If your recipe board will tell you whether a drink can be aged or not. If it cannot, it must be sold.
Yep.
If it can, you get the choice.
Sort of. Should we talk about it now?
Yes.
I think we need to, don't we? Because this was something that we have been caught out by.
We were doing it wrong.
We were indeed doing it wrong. We've done it right a couple of times, but we've done it wrong more often than not. So we need to talk about it. This is what I was talking about in the rule book earlier, saying that certain things could be better placed.
Yeah.
And certain things could be worded better. James, what did you find in the back of the rule book?
A section next to the credits.
Yep.
Which was labelled Commonly Forgotten Rules.
Yes. And what was one of the ones that was on there, James?
If a spirit has the aging symbol on it, it must be aged for a minimum of 1 round.
Yes. Now, that's caught us out a couple of times. It's caught out a lot of people. The fact that they've actually created a list in the rulebook that says commonly forgotten rules. Why would rules be commonly forgotten, James? Is it possibly because they weren't made clear enough in the first place. I think that's where I'm going to go with this. Why is the commonly forgotten rules not highlighted sooner in the rulebook other than right at the very end? I have a bit of a problem with that. And it's not a small list either, is it?
10 bullet points.
Cool. So, I mean, read a couple of the others out, James. I want to see what ones...
Commonly forgotten rules, and I can see why this is commonly forgotten.
Okay.
You can only purchase 2 cards from the basic market.
Yep.
I would imagine a lot of people get stuck in and forget that you can only buy 2.
Yeah, I can understand that one.
At the start of the distill phase, you may trade one of your ingredient or item cards for a basic ingredient of equal or less market cost from the basic market.
Now, I can safely say in a couple of our games, we have indeed done that.
Yep.
So, yep, that's an easy one to forget.
Yep, and useful if you've started stocking up a certain fruit sugar that you no longer need, you can trade it as long as it is equal or less than what you're trading with.
Exactly.
Remember to add alcohol cards to the washback. Yeah, I can see that being forgotten.
Yep, and you don't want to forget it because that's what's going to make you the money.
It may seem strange, but you do not need to have an alcohol card left in the spirit stack when you distill. Your recipes only require a certain sugar types and barrel types. So basically, if you pull all the alcohol out...
You're selling someone flavoured water, basically. Yeah. Moonshine.
When a recipe has the sugar types listed with the no entry sign, it means these sugars must not be in the final spirit stack. I can see someone making that mistake.
Yep, because again, there's no rules on putting different sugars into a drink. But if when you've removed your cards, you've got 2 different sugar types in there.
You made vodka.
Yeah. So you might want to put it in there in the hope that you'll draw it out and not the sugar that you want.
And it is recipe. It depends on what you're trying to make because there are some drinks that have multiple sugar types.
Yep.
But most of them will be, rather than what it will require, 3 wheat sugars at a minimum or 2 vegetable sugars at a minimum.
Yeah.
So if you've put wheat and vegetables in there.
Yeah. But arguably, this is where I think the rules are really, really good because it gives you that option to trade stuff in that distill phase.
Yeah.
So if you find that, oh, hang on a minute, I need 3 wheat sugar and I've only got 2, but I've also got a fruit sugar, well, I can now trade this for a wheat and now I've got the right amount.
Well, that's like as an example of why you might actually do it as a gamble. It's a risky gamble, but as a gamble, let's say I'm trying to make whiskey, which I know I remember the recipe for whiskey, which is just 3 wheat sugars and requires a wooden barrel.
Yes.
I've got a leftover vegetable sugar from earlier. If I put that in, I'm putting an extra alcohol card in.
Yes.
So I'm putting 4 in instead of 3. However, if I don't pull out that vegetable sugar in the washback, I made vodka.
Yes. So you would want to take advantage of the trade, really.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's that one. What's the next one?
If a spirit has the aged icon, it must be aged for at least 1 round before it can be sold.
There you go. Yeah.
The one after it, in relation to that, if a spirit has the non-aged icon, it must be bottled and sold in the same round it is distilled.
Yeah, we did cover that.
You can only sell 1 spirit at a time, but it will come back round to you in the selling phase, which
we'll talk about in a second.
Remember to claim your money and spirit points when selling.
I mean, if anyone's forgetting that,
it's kind of the
deserve a slap.
Yeah,
it's kind of the point of the game. How is that a commonly forgotten rule?
Someone obviously did it during playtest, because I can imagine that all 10 of these popped up in playtesting.
Of course, yeah. And final one that's on there, James.
If you distill an aged spirit during the final round of the game, you must age it and you will not be able to sell it this game. You will, however, receive SP for having it in your warehouse at the end of the game, including 1 SP for each flavor card present. That's something that's very important with that.
Yes.
Because a lot of us have been doing, I know we've done that wrong.
Trying
to get an aged spirit and then trying to flog it in the last round. Yeah, coupling in with that other rule. It's like, no, it has to age for 1 round.
Yes, 100%.
So if you do it in the last phase of the game,
you're not selling it. You'll get points, but you won't get the monetary values and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, you won't even get the footage because you just get 1 SP. I think it said you get 1 SP per. There is a full note on that, but you won't get the full value for it.
There you go. So some really key rules were included there, James.
Yes.
So I do feel 100% that should have been highlighted a bit sooner in the rulebook. But yeah, it's just a little word of warning out there that these are rules that are forgotten. And I would argue some of those are quite game changing.
Mm.
So very important. Where were we, James? We were talking about the sell phase, weren't we?
Yes, we were.
So again, how do you feel about the sell phase? Because it's pretty simple, isn't it? I was the first player, so I get to sell first. I sell one drink. I turn over my cards. It's got, right, okay. I look in the top left-hand corner. It tells me how much money I make on the cards.
Well, you would go off your board first before you got to the card anatomy, because every drink has a victory point amount,
and some of them have money
and a monetary. I think they all have monetary value. Do they not?
Only the first two. First two and your special recipe have monetary value. But yeah, all of them have victory point values, and only the first two have money and your special recipe. So you would add up all of your victory points, add them to the victory point track, surprisingly. Add up all your money, gain that amount of money. That's basically it. Some things will have special abilities when sold. Do what it says. Anything that you've sold goes back to the various discard piles. You don't get those ingredients back. The only things I believe that you do get back
are your starting barrel,
and
your starting bottle.
Other than that, it's only if it states on the card that it comes back to you, because there are a couple. Other than that, you lose everything ready for the next round. Play goes on to the next person to sell, so on and so forth. If you've got more to sell and it comes back to you, you then get the chance to sell a second drink. You may then do that. Continue on until everyone has passed, everyone has sold, and you're done. You've got your money ready for the next round. You've got some victory points on the board, or you may not. Doesn't really matter, because it's one thing I like about this game. You can be in last place with no points for the entire game, and then right at the end, selling all your age stuff, and then suddenly you're the winner. Really, really good. Next phase, James, is the aging phase. What happens in the aging phase? What's it for?
Well, you put an aged spirit card into your...
Yep, it's a flavor card.
A flavor card, yes. You put a flavor card into your stack.
Yep, but you don't get to see it.
No, you don't get to see it because it's a surprise.
Indeed.
Some of them are quite amusing.
Yes, indeed.
Some of them are stuff that you really wouldn't want to drink.
Yep.
But there's no negative. I think they're there for comedy value. They are, basically.
And they gain you quite good victory points as well when you come to sell.
For aging it. But yeah, I think some of the examples of what we're talking about, I think I've seen bandages.
Yeah, gym socks.
Yeah, skunk.
Like skunk, yeah. Not like drugs.
Yeah.
Actual skunk stuff. Yeah, it's got skunk animal.
Yeah, and some of the more ones you'd expect. I think I've seen
bacon, marshmallow, honey,
maple.
Yep. Some really nice flavors, some really nasty flavors. Sort of like going into Harry Potter, isn't it? Like Bertie Bott's all flavored sweets.
Yeah. So I think you can only age for a max of 5.
I think you can age for as long as you want, but you only gain the benefits up to 5 flavor cards. From what I remember, I can't remember exactly on that.
I think it's 5. I think you can only age. There is a limit unless there's a specific wooden barrel that allows you to put 2 of those cards in at the start.
Yeah.
So I think you can have 5 flavors or 6 if you've got that barrel. So I think on one game I aged for 4 rounds and I made maple, bacon, honey, skunk, whiskey.
Yeah, lovely jubbly.
It was going fine, and then one fell in the barrel.
But this is the thing. This is what I quite like about this, because when you eventually come to sell your aged drinks, one, they're going to gain you pointage, because you gain stupid amount of points for aged spirits. But we've kind of come up with a little mini game between us, haven't we? Which is you have to try and sell your drink, listing all of the flavors that's in it. It just adds a little bit of hilarity, theme to the game.
Yes.
And as James said, could you out there actually sell a game or sell a drink, some whiskey that's bacon flavored skunk with seaweed? I probably not. So yeah, that's the aging. I really like the aging. It's pretty self-explanatory, just adding cards without knowing that I'm going to gain good points at the end.
It should also be noted at the end of that phase, if I think it's basically so you have the option, if you don't get left behind so much, if you're aging, which means you haven't sold, or you might not have sold this round.
Yep.
You can offer a tasting if you have the points to do it.
Yes, that's a very, very good point. Something I nearly always forget to take full advantage of.
Yep.
So yeah, obviously selling is how you're going to get your money in the game. However, if you decide to age and you're not selling, you would be setting yourself up for a bad round the next round, arguably.
Possibly, if you didn't have a money reserve, but you can offer a tasting, Jason.
Yes.
If you have 4 points to burn.
Indeed. Well, actually, you don't have to have 4 points, because again, this is wording. Wording is very, very careful consideration. I believe, to my understanding, it's up to 4 points. Yes. So, I've started the game, say I've got 2 points, I've run out of money. I really need that to buy some stuff for next round. I can sacrifice my 2 points to gain 2 money.
Only if you haven't sold something.
Only if I haven't sold something. Obviously, I can do that up to 4 points only if I haven't sold something. So that's quite a nice little mechanism in there to help out those people deciding to age, which you kind of want to do. The end of the round comes, and there are some public objectives that can be completed throughout the game. You check to see if anyone's achieved those objectives. If they have, they gain those points. If multiple people have achieved this objective that same turn, they split the points and then round up the points. Really, really cool. It's just an extra way of gaining some points. Pretty standard stuff. I think there's 8 rounds in the game, if I remember correctly. At the end of the game, basically, you go through all the final end of game scoring points. Whoever has the most points wins the game. James, that is distilled in a nutshell, isn't it?
It is.
The end of the game for me is the best bit, though. Not because the game is over, because I actually don't want the game to be over. I'm really having a good time. But the best bit for me is the end, because it's only at that point, as silly as this sounds to say it, it's only at that point that you know who the winner is.
Yeah.
Because as I've said, more than one occasion now, whoever's been last throughout the entire game nearly always ends up right in the top.
Yep.
Because the reason they've been down so low is because they haven't been selling much, because they're aging. And then finally, when they cash in those aging in that last round, flying up the board, we all go from, say, 20 points up to, say, 150, 180 points. I love it, because it's only then that I know that the game is over and I've won, you've won, whoever's won. How do you like the end game scoring?
Yeah, I it's very hard to judge, like you said, who's actually going to win this, especially when you see that stat. If someone's got an aged spirit around about round 2 or 3, and they're sitting on it until the penultimate round, it usually is sitting there as a giant stack of cards, and you're just looking at it going, that is victory point central there.
Yeah.
I was just here, it actually has a breakdown for the flavor cards. Mm-hmm. So remember, you're putting 1 in per aging round.
Yep.
And if you've done it 5 times, there's 5 of these, potentially 6 if you've got that special barrel.
Yep.
And they have a monetary value of between 0 and 3.
Yep.
As well as bonus victory points on them as well. So money and victory points are going to come out of that stack.
Yeah.
When it goes, and it's usually a pretty good drink as well if it ages.
Yes. Yeah. Because a lot of the well, air quotes, rubbish drinks can't be aged. So it tends to be all the premium drinks.
Yeah, the aged spirits tend to be around the silver gold thing. Yeah. Although again, that's the reason you got so many of those flight cards is that's not always the case.
Yeah.
And you might be thinking to yourself, well, what's the point in gaining all that money if you're going to wait right till the end?
Mm-hmm.
But money does convert to victory points as part of the end game phase.
It does, yeah. It's not
a great ratio,
super great ratio, but yeah, it's pretty standard board game ratio.
It's 5 to 1. It's in on the handy glossary on the back of the page, on the back of the rule book.
Yep.
It's 5 to 1, but bear in mind that I would expect an aged spirit that's been going for 5 rounds to be pulling in 20 to 25 money.
Yeah. Let alone the pointage that it'll be kicking out, because you're probably close to 50, 60, 70 points on a lot of those.
Yep.
But the other thing, James, and this was the one that caught me out the other week, wasn't it? I thought I was doing really well, but then someone at the end had a load of the special premium glass.
Yeah.
And you get points for that at the end as well.
Yeah, because
you've still got them.
If you've not used them, they become a glass collection, and they're worth points at the end of the year.
Indeed, yeah.
I think that is my favourite aspect of this, and both of us have said about this game, is there are so many different strategies and paths to victory.
Yeah.
I've tried aging.
Yep.
I've tried not aging.
Mm-hmm. Just selling every turn. Yeah.
Yep. So specifically not going for the aged.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
stuff.
I'm still able to say, and I don't feel ashamed in saying it. We've played this game more than enough, I think, to say we've got a good idea of how this game plays. However, I've not played every strategy to win in this game. There's so many different ways to win in Distilled, or at least be competitive in Distilled. I still think there's an element of luck around it.
Yeah, there is. And it's one of the things that stands out to me about a good game is there isn't a cut and paste way to victory.
No, exactly. Because, again, you'd play that way every time, and then it becomes tedious and boring. So that is ultimately one of the best things about this game. Is there's just so many different paths to victory. There's a lot of replayability in that box as well, because you've got at least 8 different recipe cards, if I remember correctly. You've got various different characters within the game, and at the start of the game, you get the choice of 2 for that game. With their special abilities. You've got all of the different ingredients coming out at different times. You could try buying different recipes instead. You could stick to one recipe for the entire game if you wanted to. There's just so much going on, but it's not hard. It's a very, very easy game. So, James, what are your final thoughts for Distilled?
This is an absolutely amazing game that everyone should have a go at.
Okay, yeah. Any sort of particular selling points that you would just sort of go, this is this is something that I really liked?
I love the mechanism for actually distilling your drink. The whole shove everything together, shuffle it, take the top, take the bottom.
Yeah.
What have I made?
Moonshine.
Yeah.
More often than not, moonshine. Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's the standout one for me, and it is that thing, and that and the aging. Like you said, when we have our little thing of when you finally unveil that stack of cards,
you put on the posh voice.
Gentlemen, I have for your
palate.
For your palate, we have a lovely bacon infused whiskey here today. Ignore the skunky aftertaste.
And you smell that? That is just pure skunk. I love it. Yeah, I think for me, because of the groups that we played this in, the aging is the standout for me. I absolutely love it, because just knowing that I've made this really cool whiskey. I always go for whiskey, just for the record, because I love whiskey. But I always go for the whiskey, and then I'm just sort of adding these flavor cards, going, I really know that this is a really nice sweet whiskey, because I know I've got at least 6 sugars in there, and it's going to be lovely and sweet. And then to do the reveal and go, oh my God.
Yeah, I've made skunk seaweed bandages.
With just a hint of maple syrup.
Yeah.
And it was, because of my character, it was made in Asia. It's just all sorts of wrong. But yeah, it's really, really cool. I love this game. My sort of final thoughts on it is, I remember seeing this game on Kickstarter or GameFound or whatever crowdfunding platform it was originally on. I can't remember the reason I didn't back it. I realised that was somewhat of a mistake. And then we saw it at UK Games Expo.
We did.
And I made another mistake in not buying it.
Did you?
I did.
You chose...
I got Earth.
Yeah.
I got Earth while I was there. But I had the money to get this as well. And I didn't, because one, the stand was always busy and I didn't get a test play of it, which is what I wanted, because I think it was 70 odd quid for the retail version at Expo, which I'm going to say now, I actually don't disagree with that price. I would happily pay £70 for this game. But for that money, I wanted to have a little bit of a play. And we didn't get that because it was so busy. I can now understand why. So I am going to say I am going to correct this deficiency in my gaming collection, because I need to own this game. I'm even going to go as far and say this is one of, if not the best game I've played this year. And I might go even further and say this game might now be in my top 10 games of all time. I love this game. Absolutely love it.
Top 10 of all time. I mean, that's a big endorsement there. James.
Yeah, I mean, I really need to sit down and think about that, because it means pushing one out of that top 10, and I don't know what it would be.
What's on the chopping board?
So, yeah. It's up there. 100% this game's up there. I love this game. So, recommendations. I can't recommend this game to anyone. It's awful. Anyway, James, who do you recommend this game for? Who's it good for?
Okay, I'm actually curious because I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention during the intro.
Mm-hmm.
What's the recommended age for this game?
It says 14 on the box.
I'm going to go with that.
Yeah? Okay.
Mainly, any younger, it's not so much the mechanics, it's the theme. They're just not going to have any idea. I mean, arguably 14 is a bit young for that, but they might start sort of at least having a grasp of what the concept is. This is definitely aimed at adults.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an adult game, isn't it? Yeah. This is not something I would play with the family. I think 14's a fair estimate. You could probably play this with lower, but yeah, the theme might just be a bit, I don't really know what's going on if they're a bit too young. But ultimately, I mean, I can't sing its praises enough. Like, I recommend this game to be played by any true gamer. Very, very, very good game. We don't do, out of 10s here anymore, but I can tell you now it would be in the top 1, 2.
Yeah.
So I recommend literally anyone to play it. I didn't think this was going to be a game that my partner would enjoy, but she enjoyed it. If you've got someone who favors lighter weight games, I'm not going to recommend it for that. Obviously, it's not a lightweight game. Medium weight, we reckon, or do you reckon a little bit higher than medium?
No, it's medium. I wouldn't say it's not a difficult game to grasp if you've played.
Yeah, so I think you're looking at, I think it's a bit too heavy to be light to medium weight, but I think it sits in that medium weight category very nicely. Value, James. What value is in this game? Is there a lot of replay value? Is there value in the money?
There's replay value definitely in replayability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's expansions for this as well, which we haven't even played yet.
We need those.
We do.
Why have we not played with them?
Well, yeah. Well, we needed to get the episode out of the way first. But again, it was not my copy. I didn't want to open the expansions.
So. All right. You didn't say they weren't opened.
Yeah. They're not opened yet.
I was about to
there's some
to slap you for that. Hang on a minute. There's an expansion sitting in there. We haven't played it.
There is some expansions for it. We are going to get them played as soon as we can. But yeah, for me, value, James. I mean, if I haven't sung the praises enough, I think the replay value in this is really good. I would happily expand it as well. And I think money-wise, the components alone make it worth it. The gameplay alone make it worth it for money value.
So here's a question, Jason, because you have basically said that you are going to go out and buy this game.
More than likely.
Would you?
I'm actually going to try and convince you to go out and buy it first. And when I inevitably fail, then I will go out and buy it.
So you've sung its praises.
Yes.
You've said you'd expand it. Would you deluxify it? Or would you stick with the retail?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yes.
I would stick with the retail. Mainly because those deluxified... I would like the neoprene map. I would like that. I could deal without it, but I think if I was going to do anything, that would be what I would buy. The metal coins... Again, they're not really needed. I also have a universal set that I use. The metal cubes, again, they're nice, but they don't really serve that much of a function in the game, so I think the normal cubes are fine. I don't think it needs the deluxification. But then again, this is me, so more than likely we'll end up doing it in some way.
I would agree. If I were to buy this, I'd buy the mat. If you can buy that separately.
I believe you can, yes.
I would buy the mat. I wouldn't be fussed about the coins or the thing, because I would do what you've done. I personally don't understand this obsession with board gamers where they have metal coins for every single game. I would do what you've done and have a generic set.
Yeah, I think it's ultimately, it's one of them things of, gamers love deluxifying their games and they can't be bothered to have
a generic set. Coins are coins.
Yeah, and they also normally cost more than
real money.
Using real money. So, yeah. To answer your question, no, I probably won't deluxify it.
I have said this to you in the past, though, Jason, because you said, why don't we just use real money? It's like, I don't want a float for a board game.
Yeah. But there you go. Guys, Distilled. I don't think we've ever done a game highlight where it's been quite so positive. I definitely don't think we've done a game highlight episode where it's been quite this long. We've been talking a little while and it doesn't feel like it. So you've had yourself a bumper episode this week talking about Distilled, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. James, I think we can go for another half an hour. We're not going to.
We're not going to.
We're not going to. But we could probably go for another half an hour. I'm going to really be upset when I have to give this back to Anthony tomorrow. I may have to mug him and bury his corpse somewhere.
So I know you had a games list for the games night we're having tomorrow, Jason. Is it going to go out the window and we're going to end up playing this?
I don't think so. I can't make any promises. Possibly, maybe, yes. No, we are going to try because there is a plan. Anthony's got another game he wants us to play, and I want to play it as well. So I'm going to try my hardest not to do this, but I can see this being. My birthday's coming up in a few weeks, so treat to myself maybe, because I know I'm not worth £70 to people, so. But yeah, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. If you're listening to this, I want it for my birthday. Buy it for me. I'll have it by then. Anyway, James, anything else you want to say before we bugger off ski?
No, I think we've covered everything. It's just my parting comments will be find someone who owns this game and play it.
Yes, indeed. Couldn't agree more with that. Perfect parting comments. Till next week, I have been Jason.
And I've been James.
And you have been listening to the Meeple Minded podcast. Join us next week for more tabletop gaming goodness. Ta-ta and goodbye.